Yes, local media reported the man was shot in a cafe this morning.
Brussels has been on its highest terror alert after Monday's attack.
So, shall we speak to Mark White, our Home and Security Editor, who is with us here. Now, Brussels has had a number of terrorist attacks over recent years, 2014, 2016, 2018. It was the metro attacks where I believe 32 people were killed in terror. Islamist terrorism is not new to Brussels.
No, it's grappled with an Islamist extremism problem for a number of years. In fact, the trial of those, or some of those connected to the attacks at Brussels airport and the metro system in Brussels in 2016 just concluded in recent days with very significant jail terms handed down to 8 individuals involved in those attacks. And there has been real concern across Europe about the potential for a response to what is happening in the Middle East at the moment. We know that Al-Qaeda, for instance, has put out messages of support for Hamas. And this particular man, who has been named as Abdel Lassoud, had put out a video prior to this attack taking place, in which he said that he was carrying out this attack partly in revenge for the killing of a Palestinian teenager in the US in recent days, also pledging his support for ISIS, so-called Islamic State. You remember that terror group has been very significantly degraded by Western forces in Syria and Iraq over the last few years, as it rose to prominence and carried out lots of attacks, or at least attacks were carried out in its name in countries right across the world. And also this man suggesting that the terrorist attacks that were carried out were also in support of Allah. He said he was Allah's warrior. So there is concern. The Belgian authorities raised their terror threat level to its highest level in the capital, Brussels. It's still at the second highest level elsewhere in the country. And we know that France is on a heightened state of alert. Here, it's slightly different. We're at substantial, meaning that a terrorist attack is likely, but it's not at severe. It was lowered to substantial some time ago now, and it's really up to the Joint Terrorism Analysis Centre, JTAC, to determine whether that level should be increased. There is no indication as yet that they're going to do that.
What kind of things might inspire them to raise that threat level, Mark?
Well, this is all kinds of things that we are not privy to. It's all of the intelligence that is being assessed by the security agencies in conjunction with Counter-Terrorism Command across the UK counter-terrorism network. So, for instance, there is an incident that is being investigated by counter-terrorism police in Hartlepool, a fatal stabbing that took place in the early hours of Sunday morning, which a 70-year-old man was stabbed to death. Now, that will factor in. It's not formally been declared a terrorist incident as yet, but that kind of thing would potentially factor in really trying to determine whether the threat level should be raised or not.
I mean, Mark, the Justice Minister in Belgium, he says this suspect, unsuccessfully sought asylum in Belgium in November 2019, was known to the police in connection with people smuggling and illegal residents. Essentially, he was living in the country illegally, Tunisian origin. This seems to be the story time and time again when it comes to these lone operatives, these terrorist attacks in Europe. Known to the authorities, may even be here illegally.
Yeah, I mean, not in every case is it linked to asylum seekers, we've got to say, but there have been a number of recent incidents that have been linked to asylum seekers. This man, clearly there were efforts to try to remove him from Belgium when that application for asylum was turned down in 2019, but he disappeared. He was being investigated by authorities for links to people smuggling as well, but he disappeared from the day-to-day sight of the authorities. And this happens quite a lot. There is an issue as well with people who've been turned down for asylum, and even though they might be known to authorities, they appeal and then they reappeal each time an application is turned down, and they can be in the country sometimes for years